श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। कटाक्षकिरणाचान्त
कटाक्षकिरणाचान्त
नमन्मोहाब्धये नमः।
नमन्मोहाब्धे नमः।
अनन्तानन्दकृष्णाय
अनन्तानन्दकृष्णाय
जगन्मङ्गलमूर्तये
जगन्मङ्गलमूर्तये।
We are still in the prayer verse. As I mentioned in the last class, this is a grantha meant for mananam. It takes up specific questions that might come to the mind for any student of Advaita and addresses those. Now, what has happened is Swamiji has recognized this and he decided that this is something he will do towards the end of the 3-year program. So if you read the text that Swamiji has written, for a beginner, he makes an assumption that the people who are attending this would already have known some basics, would already know some amount of Sanskritam, because when people attend these long-term courses, Sanskrit was part of it. And therefore, based on those assumptions, you can see the way Swamiji has taken the class, which has been transcribed in this book. Now, clearly, all of us are not in the same stage of clarity of understanding. Some people will be able to understand it more easily. Some people will take a little longer, which is normal. But I definitely want that everybody should have, at the end of the class, each class, a takeaway. And because this is a format which allows you to stop and ask questions, even if you think that it looks like a silly question, don't worry, there is no such thing as a silly question. There is no such thing as a silly observation. I like the way Divyansh does it. What comes to his mind, he raises it. And then we discuss it. It's good. Where do these doubts come? So what I have done is, I've requested Jayaji, who's already done, I think, 2 rounds of Tattva Bodha. Tattva Bodha is an introductory text. For those who may be interested in that as a supplementary set of Shravanam classes. So a lot of these things will get easier to understand because that clarity will come. And he's agreed that he will do a few classes. So those who are interested may please get in touch with Jayaji and set up suitable times when you can do this. So while we are doing this simultaneously, maybe 2 or 3 days a week, you can decide together to do that. See, our starting point is the Shruti. when we start entering into what the Shruti says, it has got to do with the fact that there is something which I know I don't know. A very beautiful starting point. There is a very, very nice saying which says, he who knows not and knows not he knows not is a fool. Shun him. He who knows he knows not is a child. Teach him. He who knows not that he knows is probably asleep. Wake him, help him. He who knows he knows is a wise man. Befriend him. Seek his company. It's beautiful to say. When we enter this study of Vedanta, we're entering like a child with the attitude that I know I don't know. I know there is something to be known, and I have an intuitive feeling that the rishis knew, that the Vedas expound, is something to be known. All of us have had some experience in life. We've had times of relative happiness, times of relative unhappiness, relative disturbances, relative calmness. So we know it is there all the time. But questions always there in the mind. Is that life? Some people define say that's life. Life must have ups and life must have downs. That's their definition of life. But we know that there is something more to it than that. So we go to the study of Vedanta, particularly Advaita, with an attitude that I want to know, because there is something very big to gain. Even if I'm not sure what it is, I know there is something very big to gain. So I go to learn Vedanta. Let me tell you, when I first went to study with Swamiji, prior to going to him, I attended several short-term courses, several of them. Every time I got a window, I would go in, attend a 1 week, 10 days, 2 weeks programs, full day. And to share my experiences, some of them I understood. Some of them I thought I understood, but after I came out, I knew I hadn't understood. And some of them, even while I was listening to it, I said it's going over my head. That's how it is. But by and by, when I put my full focus on this learning, things started becoming clearer and clearer. Why does it happen? When we go and begin to do some Shravanam, listen to these classes, we go with an attitude saying, this Shastra is my source of knowledge, and the Guru is the one who is unfolding it for me. Therefore, what the Shastra says has to be right. But what the Shastra says is so against all that I thought I knew that it creates a lot of doubt. Shastra has a methodology. In fact, they are called prakriyas, several approaches to make us understand. But the entire message is the same. And the message is that this whole thing that we think we know, this cosmos, this Jagat, the universe, is not real. It's neither real nor non-existent. It's a big statement because it goes entirely against whatever I think I know. I think when I start that this world is real, this world is other than I, and I undergo a lot of pain and pleasure. I know that I have limitations. I'm born on a certain day, and on a day which I don't know, I will die. And suddenly, where I have completely convinced myself that this world is absolutely real. I remember the earliest example somebody gave me was, if I stub my toe on a stone, it hurts. And the hurt is real. The stone is real. The stubbing is real. And yet, Shastra begins by saying, doesn't begin by saying, but takes you to a point where you can see that it is not real. So then what is real? That also it questions. It talks about I, of which I have very clear, convincing notions of what is I. What is the Jagat? How was it created? It's constantly changing. It is obviously highly an intelligent source is running it because running flawlessly. All the planets are moving in very defined orbits. Slight deviation from there, they'll probably crash into each other. That'll be the end of the whole thing that we know. What is this Jagat? And we also know that because this is so intelligently compiled together, there must be an intelligence behind all this. And because we know that I am and the whole non-I is there, there must be a particular non-I, which I am not, which is all power, all knowledge. We call it different names. Different people have different ways of doing it, but they all agree that this is all power, all knowledge. We call it Ishvara. So Vedanta talks about I, talks about the Jagat, and talks about Ishvara. And in this, there are so many things that look completely antithetical to what I thought I knew. And therefore very difficult to accept. It is much easier when somebody tells me there is a God in heaven, in whatever form you're going to think of heaven, and your whole objective in life is to go to him. It's much easier to follow. And you ask him, how do you do that? He says, you follow what I tell you to do, you will go there. But even that statement, he is making a hidden statement that after the death of the body, you're still there. And that he doesn't define in what form you will be there, but you will be with Ishvara, with God in some form. God or Allah, or Krishna, or Perumal, or whatever that is. Easier to follow. But that leaves a lot of questions in the mind. A lot of loopholes in the whole way of thinking. And we are intelligent things as human beings, and we question, we should question. And not blindly follow because somebody says, follow me. However tempting it might look and however easy it might look, we want to question. And we start questioning, things don't look right. The contrast is in Advaita Vedanta, the more you question, the more things become clear. That is why in Advaita, you're told, number one, start the learning with the right attitude. That I want to know because I don't know and I want to know. With an attitude that the Shastra is my source of knowledge. By itself, by reading that only words, it will not tell me I will not be able to grasp the nuances of it. Therefore, a guru. That's the second aspect of it. And the third aspect, Shastra tells you, question. When you have something which is not clear, question. Think about it, try and figure it out yourself. In that, there are two parts that Shastra tells us we can do. In fact, your whole learning is divided into 4 parts. One part comes from the guru in the class. One part comes on my own analysis and thinking. We're all humans with great brains have been given to us. One part is in discussion with other people with the same line of thinking. And the fourth part in time. All 4 have to work for the knowledge to be assimilated. So the kind of questions that might come, because once you accept this as the pramana, and therefore there is something called Brahman. And the Shastra says that Brahman is a single, indivisible Brahman. It's the only reality. Everything else is only as though real. And it gives a name called Mithya. Mithya is dependent reality. Everything depends on that one Satyam. Like I said, to my mind, when I start studying, that doesn't sound right. I don't know how to understand it. So there's a doubt. And then Shastra goes on to say that one reality is you. Tattvamasi. You are the only reality. And therefore, if you think that Jagat is there, the whole cosmos is there, you are the cause of the entire cosmos. Everything has come from you. All these are not easy to assimilate. In Vedanta, it is called Sukshma. So fine that you need a lot of all 4 of those I said to be able to grasp that, including time. Some of us might take less time, some of us will take more time. That will depend upon what we come with. Somebody like Shankaracharya, at the age of 8 or whatever, he met his first Guru, Gaudapadacharya. He's gone there to learn. He's gone there to learn saying, I want to learn because I don't know. On the banks of Narmada. And Gaudapadacharya asked him, who are you? On the spot, he composed a very beautiful Shatkam, 6 stanzas called Nirvana Shatkam. And we started by saying, I'm not this, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the thought, I'm not the feelings. He already knew that. But many others we don't know. We are still struggling with what we know of in this Jagat. We are still trying to figure out a few things. We are still trying to achieve things which the world sees as success. And we've been doing that for perhaps several decades before this bug bites us saying, no, there has to be more. So when you say this is the Manana Grantha, what it really means is that this recognizes that even somebody who's done a lot of Shravanam, years of Shravanam, will have the same doubts. Same kind of saying, how is it possible? Why not like this? Why not like the other? Where do these doubts come from? Primarily from my own conclusions. In the several decades of living, because I have a brain which thinks and I keep getting inputs, I analyze those inputs and I draw my conclusions. The moment I start studying Vedanta, some of those conclusions are immediately put to test. They also come from other sources. I think I'm an intellectual, so I read Albert Camus, J. Krishnamurti, who are supposed to be giants of thinkers. Because they're in English and I can read English, or in Tamil, or whatever language that you read. And many of their arguments sound very logical. They come from other sources. Many Dvaitas around us who have their own ways of thinking. Swami Prabhupada, for example, has a whole lot of following, and he says Krishna is the only Bhagavan, which is contrary to what Vedanta teaches us. And what he says sometimes sounds correct. There are many others who come up with their own thoughts. Especially if I'm a bit of a reader, I read who is the Sankhya, how did they arrive at this, who is the Nayayika, logician, who has certain definition, what is Dravya, what is the Vastu, etc., etc. He's got. So we read all that. All sounds right. It sounds very logical in the content. All these put seeds of doubt in me. As it is, Vedanta contradicts a lot of things I thought I knew. And then all these inputs come. So something like this Grantha, which is a Manana Grantha, takes up these generally common doubts and addresses them. This is also in the form of small verses. How can there be something which is only one when I see so many things? How do you say I am that indivisible thing? It doesn't sound right to me. All sort of doubts. So this addresses those individual doubts. As we go further, you will see that each verse addresses one of these. And because these are two-line verses, they also have to be expanded, which is what Swamiji is trying to do here. And we will try and read them. Sometimes in the first reading, it's not very clear, which is why we have this format where we allow everybody to discuss. You're also encouraged to read, like I said in the last class, who is planning to read in a particular class, please at least read that section carefully and see if it makes sense by itself, or at least there are questions you want to put down in your margin. Later, after the class also, you go back and read it again. In the meanwhile, like I said, I have requested Jayaji to start classes on Tattva Bodha. Again, a lot of things will fall in place once one attends that also. If necessary, some of you who are not ready can definitely go attend those classes. We are still in the, like I said, in the Prarthana verse. Very beautifully written Prarthana verse. And Swamiji takes time to introduce the whole text and spends time on the Prarthana verse. What we've read so far, and as it happened, the very first class we had, the level of discussions kept going up. So if you are new to this, you might find the discussions a little hard to grasp. Up to the point we studied, it's only introduction to this. What are the word meanings? What is the compound that you get? What is it that the author, Lakshmidhara Kavi, who is trying to pray to, in what form? Typically, all of these will start with the prayer verse. In fact, if you are ever writing anything, if you are ever starting a project, I very strongly recommend you write a small prayer. Need not be very fancy prayer like here written. Write a small prayer. If nothing else occurs to you, write Om. It's also Mangala Suchka. In fact, traditionally in the South, we write a Om at top of every page when we write, even from school onwards. It helps. And I can tell you from practical experience, it helps. The other thing that this does is, it introduces a beautiful concept called Anubandha Chatushtaya. I used to do classes for senior executives in the corporate world. Those days, PowerPoint for as a tool presentation was new, relatively new. In fact, before PowerPoint, I used to use something called Freelance, which is a Lotus product. It was new. So a lot of people were not sure how to use it. So I used to run classes for senior executives. And some of the things I used to tell them was, how do you begin something like that? How do you begin to make a presentation? Forget about the capacity of the software itself. How do you start the whole thing? I said, first you write down, what is the subject matter? What is it you're trying to present? And once you're clear on that, write down for whom is this presentation being made. Whole presentation will change depending upon who you're making the presentation to. If it's a project that you want approval from the board, and there are all these guys sitting there on the board, or from a set of investors, your presentation will have a certain form. But on the other hand, if it had explained to a bunch of, let's say, school or college students, the same presentation you will redo, depending upon the audience. So that is the second aspect of it. A third aspect of it is, what are you trying to gain? What is the result that you want? These are the audience. I'm doing a presentation to a set of investors. What is the result I want? I want the investors at the end of it to say, okay, I will put in the funds required to start this project. That's the result you want. Or on the other hand, if it's for school or college children, you want them to generate perhaps an interest so they can study more on the subject. And you also examine, if that is the result I want, and those are people I'm addressing, and this is the text I'm going to create, how are they related? Sambandha. And when I first discovered that something I thought I had beautifully created for my teaching of how to make PowerPoint presentations, that is all there, probably written thousands of years ago. I was humbled. It says there are Anubandha Chatushtaya is a fourfold beginning that you should make before you start the work, write a book, make a project, whatever. What is the subject matter? What is it that you're writing about? Let's say somebody writing a poem. What is the subject matter? Vishaya. And the next thing is saying, okay, this is about this. For whom am I writing this? Or making this project, or making this presentation, whatever it is. Accordingly, I will write. The language will be different, the presentation style will be different, the content will be different, the amount of stuff I write will be different, the kind of facts and figures I present will be different, depending upon who I am giving it to. And what do I expect to get out of this at the end of it? So, first, Vishaya, Adhikari, who is this, for whom I'm preparing this. And the third, what do I want to get a result of this? What is the phala? And lastly, what is the sambandha between that phala I'm trying to get and this thing I'm creating? Anubandha Chatushtaya. Chatushtaya means fourfold. So it is there, been written, God knows how many years ago this has been created. And I can tell you, I have experimented with this myself. Whenever I start to write anything, I write this for myself. Then your writing becomes very pointed, very clear. So every text that you will see, there will be a prayer verse. And in the prayer verse, there will be clear Anubandha Chatushtaya. When I say clear, it is not that it will be specifically said, this is the Vishya, this is the, but it normally very subtly presented. This also, this prayer verse, Kataksha Kirana Chanta Naman Mohabdhaye Namaha Anantananda Krishnaya Jagan Mangala Murtaye. Typically, these are written for an adhikari. Vishaya typically is moksha, moksha jnana. And for a person who is a mumukshu, who wants to gain that moksha, who has got himself or herself ready up to that point of time. Because this jnanam cannot easily be absorbed unless the mind is well prepared. The adhikari. And in this text probably, the purpose is to help the mumukshu, the adhikari, remove all the doubts so that he can really focus on gaining that knowledge. And the Sambandha also, he will say, how does this help in that? So whenever you start anything, I very strongly recommend try writing an Anubandha Chatushtaya. It is not part of whatever you're writing, it is for you. So when they write this Anubandha Chatushtaya, it usually be woven into the prayer verse itself. Here also is done that. And when we left the reading yesterday, I think we referred at this point, where Swami is going to explain how the prayer verse covers Anubandha Chatushtaya. So we can continue reading from where we left off in the last class. Who's ready to do the reading and understanding and summarizing?
Can I try, Swamiji?
Sure. We are in page 5, I think para 3.
Yes.
Hmm.
The prayer verse also introduces the Anubandha Chatushtayam for Vedanta. In the prayer verse, samsara is presented as something that is nothing but moha, ajnana. If it is ajnana karya, samsaritvam itself is not there. Samsaritvam is not there means asamsaritvam is the nature of the Atma. The Shastra Vishaya is the Ajnata Atma, who is in reality an asamsari. Atma is asamsari is known. That Atma is asamsari, Atma is Brahman is not known. Therefore, Shastra Vishayatvam Praptam, there is a Vishaya for the Vedanta Shastra. For this Shastra, who is the Adhikari? Namaskritanam, Namaskartrinam, those people who seek refuge of the Lord for the sake of this knowledge. That is the Upalakshana for all the qualifications. Swamiji, what is Upalakshana?
Upalakshana is an indicative for all the adhikari. If you again go back to Tattvabodha as the basic text, it will tell you what are the adhikaritvam, what gives you adhikaritvam. Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadamadi Shatka Sampatti, and Mumukshutvam. Correct? So this here, when you say the one who surrenders to Ishvara, means one who has already got that adhikaritvam and is willing to go look for Ishvara's help in gaining this knowledge. Yes, Shobha. 1 minute.
Okay. In the first paragraph that we're just reading, there is that statement, if it is ajnana karya, samsaritvam itself is not there. What does ajnana karya mean?
Okay. Good. This whole samsara is there, which includes everything, near, far, known, unknown, tangible, intangible, everything. These are all called karya. Karya means product of something. It has come from something, is a karya. So the entire samsara is a karya. Often the example given in Shastra is, for example, in a universe of clay products. So for example, if you go to a shop which sells all sort of clay products, none related to the other perhaps. There's pots and jars and lids and cups and something totally unrelated like a foot scraper to a medallion or whatever. They are all karya. And they all come from the karanam, which is clay. So from the clay, all these varieties of products come, they all call karya. This whole samsara is karya. So when he says here, ajnana karya means it has come from a wrong understanding. Because the whole jagat, he says, moha. Moha is loosely translated delusion as not knowing. Therefore, ajnana karya. And because it's ajnana karya, it is not there at all. There is no karya. But that we'll go to later. Yeah. Yes, Devansh.
And sorry, I have one more question.
Follow up. Sure.
The next statement, the Shastra Vishaya is the Ajnata Atma, who is in reality an asamsari.
Yeah.
So here Ajnata Atma is
an Atma which you don't know, where you've got wrong notions of the Atma. Really speaking, the Atma is asamsari. It is nothing to do with samsara. But when we look at ourselves, we are also karya. We are also part of the jagat and we are also karya. And we think of ourselves as the Atma, the self. And that is Ajnata Atma. Because the real Atma we don't know yet.
Is that the same as saying the ignorant?
It is ignorance. Ajnanam is ignorance. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Swamiji, I have one question. This
Yes.
Upalakshana, so if let's say I know that I have ajnana and I seek refuge into Ishvara to gain this jnana, does it make me ready for all the sadhan chatushtaya?
No. It is only the beginning. You go to understand this because you understand that I don't know.
Yes.
Correct? But just because you know that you don't know, that doesn't mean you're prepared.
Yeah.
That's the first step.
Okay.
Then you have to get yourself ready. The mind has to be absolutely in a position of tranquility. Because the knowledge that we are talking about is unlike any other knowledge that we know of in the Jagat. Every knowledge in the Jagat is knowledge of an object. Tangible object, intangible object, but object. Whereas what we are looking for is the knowledge of I, the subject. Therefore, it's very difficult to get unless the mind is really well prepared. Something like, I don't know, plasma technology, you can't go there unless you've done some basic preparation of the mind. How are you going to learn that? Even here in the Jagat, we have this problem. How are you going to understand Einstein's equation if you don't even know basic integration and differentiation? Yeah.
Swamiji?
Yes.
Swamiji, just to add to Shobhaji's question. So here when the line says Shastra Vishya is Ajnata Atma, who is in reality an samsari. In this word, in this compound, Ajnata is not equivalent to Ajnana. So
No.
you cannot replace Ajnata with Ajnana.
No. I think she understood. It is an Atma which is not known. Yeah. You're right.
Viveka and Vairagya are indicated there by the word Naman. And therefore, Namaskaritrinam indicates
Namaskritanam, here Namaskritanam. The one who is doing Namaskara.
Namaskaritrinam. It's
Namaskritanam. And
So
here
here it is
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
I think it is Kartranam, no,
There are two
Swamiji?
different words here.
Kartranam.
Both mean the same thing. Namaskritanam and Namaskartrunam. Karta, one who is the Karta and one who is doing the karma. Same thing. Meaning is the same. Namaskritanam and Namaskartrunam mean the same thing. The one who is doing the Namaskara.
Okay. Indicates those who seek Ishvara. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru ityadi. Whatever is said in the Gita Shastra about an adhikari, all that is to be understood here by that one word Naman. In the compound Kataksha Kirana Chanta Naman Mohabdi Mai Avyabhicharini Bhakti and Amanitwadi qualities can also be brought in here. These Mohabdi goes away with Ishvara's grace. Jnanam is necessary for the Mohabdi to go. That means there is a teaching involved here. Therefore, there is certain knowledge involved. That is the Mahavakya Upadesha Janya Jnanam. What is
born of Mahavakya Upadesha Janya Jnanam.
What is that Jnanam? Aham Brahma Asmiti Jnanam. Only then will this Mohabdi dry up. That Jnanam is the Vishaya and that is born out of the Upadesha. Therefore, Sambandha also we can think about. Then, what is the phalam result? Mohabdi Nivritti alone is the phalam. Anand Avapti is there and Dukkha Nivritti, Samsara Nivritti is there. That is pointed out by Achanta Mohabdi. So we have the Anubandha Chatushtaya by implication. Generally, this is always suggestive.
Suggestive. Very good. Would you like to summarize in your own words, Divyansh?
Yes, Swamiji. So Swamiji is like pointing out the Anubandha Chatushtaya by picking out like what words represent what part of Anubandha Chatushtayam. So the main topic is the moksha, that is the jnanam. And as Swamiji says that Atma is already free, that but we don't know the like if we think that this body and mind is the Atma, and therefore we think that we have samsaritvam, we go into rebirths and all. But Atma is already free. So there is like knowledge is not there, correct knowledge is not there. And to fix that, we need jnanam. That is the like topic for this Shastra. And who is the adhikari? The the person who knows that he does not know, and he is seeking refuge into the Lord, like to gain the knowledge, like that person is ready to like walk on to this path. And there is some importance given on this word naman, that I'll need to maybe read this more to get more about this. And the mohabdi that the person is in, that the samsaritvam, that goes away with Ishvara's grace. So so when we say that there is some ignorance, then the knowledge is should take place, and that is that we get from the Mahavakya, Tattvamasi, and what is the result of that? That we realize that Aham Brahmasmi. Only then these some like the ocean of delusion dries up. Yes, and the phala is given also, that we get released from this mohabdi, and we have an ananda vyapti, like we know our nature as being limitless, and all the dukkhas also go away. Yes, Swamiji, I think.
Very good. Anybody wants to add something to what he's saying on this? This
It is
covers the
Ananda.
Ananda Chatushtaya.
Swamiji, it is Ananda
Yes.
Avapti, no? Ananda Avapti, no?
Ananda Avapti also means having gaining of Ananda.
No.
Means the same thing. Ananda, jnana gaining, there's no new jnana gaining. Actually, jnana exists. Therefore, what we are trying to do is remove ajnana. Swamiji's famous example is, you buy a lottery ticket and the number is all blacked out. So that when the results are announced, you want to check whether you're the winner. It is there, but you don't know because it's covered. So you take a coin and start scraping that number by number. You say, oh, it's matching, it's matching. Till the last number, it won't match. That is the kind of thing. What we are trying to, that our moha is because of ajnanam. And that only has to be removed. Jnanam already exists. There's no new jnanam anywhere. In fact, this is true even of science, knowledge of science. Everything is there. But we don't know. So we uncover it. In fact, that's why in most science, this thing is called discovery. This truth is revealed by removing the covering of ajnanam, ignorance. All the knowledge of the entire universe is already here. It is just that we have not figured it out.
Swamiji, can I add on this naman part? I read it again. So here Swamiji is saying that when we talk about the sadhan chatushtayam, the viveka vairagya and shatka sampatti and mumukshutvam. So the first two qualities, viveka and vairagya, are like indicated by this word naman. So like if we talk about let's say a devotee of Lord Rama, like he has a viveka that he has a like correct purpose, like what he seeks. So he want to seek Rama, and he has relatively like less priorities about other things. So he has relative vairagya about other things. So these two things are already there. And for a, let's say, mumukshu, like if we know that there is something called Atma that is limitless, and we have a viveka that we know the value of that, and we can like separate things out, and we will also have vairagya. about that. And yeah, so I think in the Gita also, this verse will discuss about like when uh, uh, Krishna says that become my bhakta and namaskara to me. Like it's not literal namaskara. It's like that you should have single pointedness uh, toward this pursuit. Um, and also there is this Kataksha Kirana Chanta. As like it was discussed before, that by Ishvara's grace only we can get this knowledge. So I think like if we have the correct like the attitude, we have the Vivek and Vairagya, we will get the grace of Ishvara as well, and we will maybe get Jnana.
Good. Viveka Vairagya automatically, if one is dedicated, will lead to those 6 sampattis. Shamadamadi sampatti, because automatically like you said, the value goes down, so you don't have any great pressure from those. Therefore, Shama comes and Dama comes, all of them are there. Yes, Shobha.
Could you please elaborate on the 2 words, avyabhicharini bhakti and amanitvadi?
Okay. These are from the Bhagavad Gita, both of them. Abhyabhicharini is unwavering, unchanging. So the bhakti is constant. It is not, I go pray in the morning and then go get involved in other things and come back in the evening. Abhyabhicharini, not changing, not altering in any way. And this other one, amanitva, is the qualities that you should have. It's given in the 13th chapter. Several qualities given. Amanitvam, mana is in some way pride. Amanitvam is without the pride. And there are other things also in the amanitvam, madamitam, ahimsa, krantiradham, etc. In these kind of prayers, in fact, most of Vedanta, you cannot take the literal meaning. You cannot say that Bhagavan looks at me by the corner of the eye and therefore my moha dries up. That's the literal understanding, but that's not what it means. Like he translated as saying, you gain Bhagavan's grace. That grace is necessary to remove this moha and ajnana. Any other inputs on this?
Swamiji, like one more point to add, like because there are some new people also, like there is quite an emphasis on the Ishvara's grace. Like that is also not like Ishvara is partial and he is like seeing us and giving us grace. It is just our punyas that we
Correct.
collect.
It is, in India, not like that, it's less now, but at one time, our electricity line losses were about 50-60%, 40% average, and in a state like UP, it was 70-80%. You know what a line loss is, no? You generate a certain amount of electricity, but what is actually going to the end user officially is only that much. Worldwide, line losses are about 5-6%. And why is that so high? Because in UP and in many other states, the guy would simply throw a wire, connect to the mains and pull electricity. It's not a very good example for them, but what I'm saying is, Ishvara's grace is everywhere. It is for you to take that. So you mentioned punya. It is for you to access that through your own action, through your own punya, you gain that grace of Ishvara. I saw another hand go up somewhere.
Adding to this, Swamiji, UP is the only place I lived in Mathura for 4 years, building up a plant. Okay, that's the only city where I have come across a 110-volt bulb.
Okay.
So
Everything's taken away, so there's nothing left.
so when you put it in the evening, 6 to 9, you will get a good brightness. Other houses will not have brightness, but it becomes 440 volt in the night. So it will burn.
I will only give an example to say that it is there. You just have to access that grace of Ishvara. Because it's not the best example to give, but that's reality. Any other points? Any other observations? Otherwise, we'll continue.
Yeah, just
Yes.
one add-on, Swamiji. Just so that it will be of interest. This particular verse not only qualifies as a prayer, right? And also a preface, which is what we saw the Anubandha Chastaya for any text. It is also already conveying the essence of Advaita. So this prayer cannot be used by any other school of philosophy, right? Because this moha word is only unique to Advaita. So it's already telling you samsara is moha. It's a delusion. It is not real. And that is kind of the essence of Advaita and only Advaita.
Correct.
Right? So it's very beautiful verse. Yeah.
That the world is not really real. It is only as though real. Yes, Divyansh has something else to say.
Swamiji, like this thing that Jayaji mentioned, that moha is only unique to Advaita, but like other schools also have their different meanings, interpretations of this word. So like
No, interpretation is of the word moksha, not moha.
no moha also. Like they will say
No. Here, when you read, you started with the sentence, Swamiji has started with the sentence, the samsara is presented as moha, delusion.
Yeah,
But that is not true for any other philosophy. Every other philosophy, Jagat is real. So let us be very clear about that. This is unique to Advaita. You cannot put this prayer on a non-Advaita text.
Good. Shall we move on, or anything else anybody wants to add to this? With that, Anubandha Chaturthi is done, but we can continue to see what Swamiji has to say. Yes, Divyansh, continue.
Advaita Makaranda is the title he has given. Therefore, the Vakya Janya Jnanam is Advaitam. Advaitam means that a second thing is not there. Dvaitam is not there. Where there is no Dvaitam, it means there is only one Vastu without a second. This Advaita Vastu is presented here. Makaranda means fragrance, the fragrance of Advaita. The pollen of Advaita, Advaita Makarandaha. Makaranda can also be taken as the honey, the nectar of Advaita, like how the Shatpadis, the bees, just go after nectar. They
Bee
lead.
is called Shatpadi. You know why? What is pada?
Legs, 6 legs.
Shatpadi means
6 legs.
the insect which has 6 legs. Shatpadi. Yeah.
Ratnam ji has some question. Is it?
Yes.
Swamiji, why it is written as Advaita Vastu? It is not a Vastu, na Swamiji. Here I am. Why?
There will be more discussions on that further. You have to use a word. So, what is the word that you can use for something which is propertyless, which is formless, with no parts? All the negatives are there. So, what word will you use? So, Vedanta uses the word vastu, although general meaning of vastu is any object. In fact, correct meaning of vastu is that which is real.
Real, yes.
Then in Tamil also we say, if something is correct, vastavam dana. That which is real is always called vastu. So Vedanta uses that for Brahman. Padmashri?
Om Swamiji.
Om.
The very first time we are given, therefore the Vakya Janya Jnanam is Advaita. Can you please elaborate on this word? I'm not able to understand this. Vakya Janya Jnanam. Advaita Makaranda is the
Page
title.
page 7, first line.
Vakya Janya Jnanam is, what is Vakya? Is a sentence. What is all these Mahavakyas, you're referring to that, born of that, born of the Vakya, Vakya Janya Jnanam. That Jnanam which the Vakya tells us. So if you say, Aham Brahmasmi, it's a Vakya. But what is the Jnanam it is giving you? That you are not this body, mind, sense complex, you are not none of these. Really, the only you is possible is Brahman. So born of that sentence, the knowledge born of that sentence. Vakya Janya Jnanam.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we are already hitting the time. We will restart from here in the next class. May I request some of you to already in your mind prepare that you will read that and maybe read this before the class so that you're well prepared. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti
Shanti.
Harihi Om
Gurubhyo
Shri
Namaha.
Gurubhyo Namaha.
Harihi Om.
Harihi Om.